She wanted revenge for something I never did. I can still remember the exact moment it began. The subtle shift in her eyes, the faint hesitation in her voice, the tiny pause before she responded to my questions. At first, I thought I was imagining it. I blamed myself, thinking maybe I had said something wrong, done something unknowingly hurtful. But deep down, a sinking feeling told me this wasn't about me. It started with whispers. Someone at work saw me at a cafe with another woman. The truth? It was my cousin visiting from out of town. I had even sent my wife pictures later, trying to show there was nothing to worry about, but she never asked, never confronted me. She didn't give me a chance. She made up her mind, and once she decided, nothing could shake it. At first, it was little things, a shrug here, a sigh there, texts unanswered, dinner conversations reduced to one-word replies. I tried joking, laughing it off, thinking she was stressed or tired, but the tension never left. It grew, invisible but suffocating. Then came the cold looks, the way she would clutch her phone tighter whenever I entered the room, the barely audible sighs, the silent rolling of her eyes. I started noticing small behaviors I had never paid attention to before. The way she avoided me on the couch, how she lingered in another room when I wanted to talk, the way she spoke to me as if I was already guilty. One evening, I reached for her hand while we were sitting together. She flinched. My heart sank. "What's wrong?" I asked. Her answer? "You tell me." That was the first time I understood the depth of her belief. She thought I had betrayed her. She didn't want to hear my side. She wanted punishment. And she started giving it to me in the quietest, most destructive ways. She withdrew affection. Small gestures vanished. Her kisses became brief, cold. She started staying out longer with friends, coming home late, exhausted, deliberately distant. The bed we shared became a battlefield of avoidance. Sometimes she'd say things in passing, disguised as jokes. "How does it feel now?" she asked once in the kitchen. I froze. "Feel what?" She didn't answer. Her eyes were full of accusation, disappointment, and anger all at once. It hit me. This was revenge. Not discussion, not confrontation, punishment for a crime I didn't commit. I tried to reason. I wrote letters. I begged for conversation. "If you think I've done something, say it. Don't punish me for something I never did." Sometimes she listened. Sometimes she walked away. But her eyes never softened. Her mind was closed. The decision had been made long before I could open my mouth. I started replaying our life together in my head. The trips we took, the late-night movies, the dinners we cooked together, the way she used to smile at me. Did I miss something? Did I hurt her in ways I didn't see? But no, I had not done anything wrong. She had chosen to believe lies, and instead of asking, she chose destruction. Work became unbearable. Every notification on my phone made my stomach twist. Was it proof of guilt? Had she seen it? I became a ghost in my own life, drifting through familiar spaces but unseen, unheard. My friends tried to console me, but even they could not touch the invisible chains wrapped around my days. Arguments became inevitable. Small things exploded into fights. A misplaced word, a wrong look, anything could trigger her wrath. I remember one night vividly. We sat across from each other at the dinner table. Plates barely touched, silence heavy. I said, "We can talk about this. I can explain everything." Her response was a glare so sharp it cut through me. "I don't need your explanations. I know the truth." I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her see reality. But I didn't, because I had realized something terrifying. She didn't care about truth anymore. She cared about punishment, about hurting me the way she imagined I had hurt her. Days turned into weeks. I stopped sleeping properly. My appetite vanished. Every attempt to reach her ended with cold silence or a curt dismissal. And yet I couldn't leave. I held on to the hope that she would see reason, that somehow, somewhere, the love we shared would pull us back together. And then it happened. The moment that changed everything. I came home one rainy evening. My clothes were thrown into the hallway. Our bed was unmade, and photographs of our happiest moments face down on the dresser. She stood in the doorway, arms crossed, eyes hard, sharp as knives. She said, "I don't love you anymore. You're a liar. Get out." I didn't fight. I didn't beg. I just stood there, watching her for a long moment. Rain dripped from my jacket. My hands clutched the handle of my suitcase. My heart was heavy, but my mind was clear. I had done nothing wrong. I had survived her wrath, but our life together was over. I thought about the years we had shared, the laughter, the late-night talks, the quiet mornings, the promises we whispered in the dark. It all felt like a distant memory, a life that belonged to someone else. I picked up my suitcase. Its weight was nothing compared to the heaviness in my chest. I walked past her silently. The door closed behind me, not just on the house, but on a chapter of my life that I would never reopen. Walking into the rain, I realized something I would carry with me forever. Revenge may feel satisfying in the moment, but the truth eventually finds its way out. And when it does, all that remains is regret. And in that moment, I understood something else. She would one day see her mistake. She would realize that punishing me for nothing had cost her everything. Her love, her trust, her future with the man she thought she knew. But that revelation would come too late. Too late for apologies. Too late for me. I continued walking, the storm soaking through my coat, the suitcase heavy but steady in my hands. I did not know where I would go, who I would trust, or if I would ever feel at home again. All I knew was this: I had survived the false judgment of someone I loved. And that, in its own brutal way, was freedom.
I didn't expect regret to hit me this hard. It was quiet at first, the kind of quiet that makes you question every decision, every word you've ever said, every look you've given. I had wanted revenge so badly, to make him feel the pain I imagined he caused me. And yet, here I was, months later, realizing that the revenge I had plotted so carefully had destroyed everything. Not him, not truly, but us. I replayed the nights over and over. The looks, the cold shoulder, the whispered accusations. How could I have believed such lies? How could I have been so sure, so determined to punish someone I loved? Every memory felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I tried to tell myself it wasn't too late. I could reach out. I could explain. Maybe he'd listen. But the thought of his anger, his disappointment, the hurt in his eyes, froze me every time I tried. I sat down with my phone, trembling, my thumb hovering over his number. I typed messages, deleted them. I tried again. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Can we talk? I hesitated, knowing that the words might not be enough, that the bridge I had burned might never be rebuilt. Days passed. Every text went unanswered, every call ignored. I started leaving notes at his door, small apologies scribbled on scraps of paper. Each time, I imagined him throwing them away, or worse, crumpling them in anger. Finally, I took a deep breath and went to his apartment. Standing outside, I felt the same fear I had seen in his eyes all those months ago, the same weight of judgment I had once wielded against him. I knocked gently, my heart hammered. When he opened the door, I barely recognized him. The man who stood before me was strong, composed, but the sadness in his eyes, it was raw, real, and I knew it had nothing to do with me anymore. I need to say something, I began. He didn't answer. He just let me in. We sat across from each other in the living room, the air thick with unspoken words. "I hurt you," I said finally. "I let rumors, lies, my own anger destroy the person I loved. And for that, I am so sorry." His eyes didn't soften, not immediately. The silence stretched between us, a chasm that seemed impossible to cross. I thought you betrayed me," I continued, my voice shaking. "I didn't ask. I didn't listen. I just assumed. I punished you for nothing. And now I see everything I did, all the coldness, all the distance, it was a mistake." Tears streamed down my face, and for a moment I saw a flicker of the man I used to know. But the hurt was deep. He leaned back, taking a slow, steady breath. "You destroyed what we had. Not because of who I was, but because of what you thought I was. You made your choice. You made it clear who you thought I was. And now, we're here." I nodded, unable to speak. The weight of my own actions crushed me. I had wanted him to feel the pain I imagined he caused me. Instead, I had caused irreversible damage. "Can you forgive me?" I whispered, almost afraid to even say it. He looked away. I waited, the silence unbearable. "I don't know if I can," he said finally. "I don't know if I want to. Not yet. Not today." My heart sank, but I understood. I had to let him feel what he felt. I had to let the consequences of my choices exist in their full truth. I had no right to demand forgiveness. Days turned into weeks. We spoke occasionally, cautiously, carefully, sometimes through text, sometimes a brief conversation at the grocery store. I saw glimpses of the man I had loved, but also a stranger shaped by my mistakes. I realized something else. True regret isn't about crying and saying sorry. True regret is living with the knowledge that you can't undo what you've done, that every choice, every action, every misjudgment has consequences that ripple outward in ways you can't control. And yet, there was hope. Not the naive hope that everything would return to what it once was, but the quiet, tentative hope that perhaps, in time, trust could be rebuilt. That perhaps, even after betrayal, even after false judgment, two people could find a way to understand each other again. I didn't know if that day would come. I didn't know if he would ever let me close again. But for the first time, I understood what it meant to truly see someone. Not the version your fears have created, not the image of someone you've punished, but the real person, flawed, human, and still standing. And as I walked away from that apartment that evening, I felt a weight lift, not from him forgiving me, but from me finally understanding the truth about my own actions. I had been wrong. I had been cruel. I had been blind. And I would carry that knowledge with me forever. Because sometimes the hardest lessons aren't about what happens to you, they're about what you do to the people you love. And sometimes, even love itself isn't enough to undo the damage caused by pride, anger, and misplaced revenge.